Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare
All
Bo,
obeisance of
Vrindavaneshwari, accept my obeisance, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
How are you?
Very good. How about yourself?
Good, good.
Should we get started?
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
Okay.
We're all ready.
Just looking for one piece of information really quick here. That's the verse. Hare Bo, Dronacharya Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances.
My
All glory
obeisance
to
to
Srila
Srila
Prabhupada.
Prabhupada. Hare Bo. Okay. Okay, so I'll go ahead and get started. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjan Jamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Ballabha Giri Bardari Gopi Jana Ballabha Giri Bardari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjan Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjan Jamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
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 Krishna,
Hare
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 Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama
Rama,
Rama
Rama Rama,
Rama Hare
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 Hare.
Yo, Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paribrajakacarya Astotarasata Shri Srimad Divine Grace Desi Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki
Jai.
Jai.
Jai Nityalila Pravishtam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paribrajakacarya Astotarasata Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki
Jai.
Jai.
Ananta Koti Vaishnava Brinda Ki
Jai.
Jai.
Namacharya Haridas Thakur Ki
Jai.
Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Go Bhakta Vrinda Ki
Jai.
Radha Krishna Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan Ki
Jai.
Jai.
Vrindavan Dham Ki
Jai.
Jai.
Navadvip Dham Ki
Jai.
Jai.
Mayapur Dham Ki
Jai.
Jai.
Jagannath Puri Dham Ki
Jai.
Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani Ki
Jai.
Jai.
Shri Gauni Tai Ki
Jai.
Jai.
Shri Radha Sarat Bihari Ki
Jai.
Jai.
Bhakti Devi Tulsi Devi Ki
Jai.
Jamuna Mai Ganga Mai Ki
Jai.
Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki
Jai.
Harinam Sankirtan Ki
Jai.
Sankirtan Jagya Ki
Jai.
Go Premanandi Hari Hari Bo. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories Shri Guru Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Namo
Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Om
Namo
Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Om Namo
Om Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
So Joinchari Prabhu, can you read the verse 3 times, please?
Nandasya Patni Kritamaj Anti Majananandikam Viprai Krita Swastyayanam Supujitai Anandya Vasha Shrug Avishta Tenuvi Sanjata Nidraksham Ashishyach Chanai Nandasya Patni Kritamajanandikam Viprai Krita Shashyayanam Supujitai Anandaya Vasha Shri Abhishtatenubi Sanjata Nidraksham Ashishayak Chanai Nandasya Patni Vitaman Manjanandikam Viprai Krita Shashyayanam Supujitai Anandya Vasha Shri Apishtitenubi Sanjata Nidraksham Ashishyak Chanai.
Very nice. Someone
Hope that
else?
wasn't too bad.
That was very good.
Sorry.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Nanda Shapatni Kratamajanadikam Vipre Kataswa Satyayanam Supujitai Anyadhyavasa Strigabhashti Dhenubhihi Sanjata Nidraksha Kshama Asishayachane.
Nandasya patni kritamajjanadikam viprai kritasvasjayanam supujitai annadyavasa sragabhishtadhenubhi sanjata nidraksham ashishayachanai.
Nanda.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Mataji.
Nandasya patni kritamajanaadikam viprai kritasvastyanyanam supujitai annadyavasa shragabhishtadhenubhi sanjata nidraksham asisayachanai.
Nandaya yasya patikritamajatikam viprakrita sayayanam supujitai anandya vasa shrabhistadenubi sanjata nidrakam asisayakchanai.
Nandasya patni kritamanjanandikam vipraya krita swastan vipraya krita swatsayanam supajitaha anandasvaha sagrabhisto dhenubhiya sajat nindraksham chanaya.
Nandasya patni kritamanjanandikam vipe krita swasyayanam supujite anandya vasakshat abhisista dhenubhi Sanjata Nidraksham Asisaya Chaksane.
Very nice. So word for word. Nandasya
Nandasya
of Maharaj Nanda.
Maharaj.
I'll just go through it because it may take too long. It's a long verse. Nandasya of Maharaj Nanda, Patni, the wife, Mother Yashoda, Krita Manjana Adikam, after she and the other members of the house had bathed, and the child had been bathed also. Viprai by the Brahmanas, Krita Swasyayanam, engaging them in chanting auspicious Vedic hymns. Supujitai, who were all received and worshipped with proper respect. Ana Adya, by offering them sufficient grains and other eatables. Vasa, garments. Shrak, Abishta, Venudi, by offering flower garlands and very desirable cows. Sanjata Nidra, had become sleepy. Aksham, whose eyes. Ashisha Yat, laid the child down. Shanai, for the time being. In translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. After completing the bathing ceremony for the child, Mother Yashoda received the Brahmanas by worshiping them with proper respect and giving them ample food grains and other eatables, clothing, desirable cows and garlands. The Brahmanas properly chanted Vedic hymns to observe the auspicious ceremony. And when they finished and Mother Yashoda saw that the child felt sleepy, she lay down on the bed with the child until he was peacefully asleep. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. An affectionate mother takes great care of her child and is always anxious to see that the child is not disturbed even for a moment. As long as the child wants to remain with the mother stays with the child, and the child feels very comfortable. Mother Yashoda saw that her child felt sleepy, and to give him all facilities for sleep, she lay down with the child. And when he was peaceful, she got up to attend to her other household affairs. Om Agyanatimirang Dasa Jananjanan Salakaya Chakshu Ummilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruveda Maha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale. Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaudavani Pacharani Nivishesha Shunyavadi Paschalashitani. So I apologize ahead of time. My mind has been disheveled or confused over the last few days because of the passing of our dear Vaishnav leader, preacher, wonderful devotee, His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj. I know when I woke up on Saturday morning and I got the message, I was stunned, shocked, and I couldn't think. In fact, the whole day I was walking around in a haze, just trying to figure out, the situation. And that's lingered on to now. Last night we had a little ceremony in Atlanta, online discussion about him. And then I know in Philadelphia the other day, because I saw part of it, there was a nice observance of that. And it's wonderful to hear the devotees' realizations about Maharaj. So today, this discussion here is very interesting. There's one word in the verse that I want to emphasize. But first, let's talk about Mother Yashoda. Mother Yashoda showing so much love for Krishna in her relationship, transcendental relationship with him. And Srila Prabhupada explains there's only one Mother Yashoda. There's not many Mother Yashodas. There are many devotees in the spiritual world who have a loving relationship with Krishna as a parent. It's like sometimes we have that relationship with the children in our community. They see older devotees and senior devotees, Madhajis and men like their parents. In fact, you probably know that quote from, I believe, Hillary Clinton, when she said, it takes a village to raise a child. So the whole community becomes part of the family to take care of the children. So in the spiritual world, they have those relationships with Krishna, but there's only one Mother Yashoda. There's not many Mother Yashodas. There's not many Radharanis. It's only Yashoda, Radharani, Nanda, transcendental devotees in eternal relationship with the Lord. So she is demonstrating. Now, of course, it is Krishna who she's loving. And as Srila Prabhupada points out, in the modern society, children are not only not taken care of, but they're in many cases abused. That's why within our ISKCON, we have a child abuse program, child protection team, CPO, is that right? Child Protection Office. And it's focused on taking care of the children. So the question may be raised, why wasn't that there years ago? I don't remember exactly when it started, but it wasn't there when I started. I'm sure when Vishnu Gadadaprabhu started in 1970 or 71, we didn't have a CPO, Child Protection Office, but we did have some semblance, some idea of children not being taken care of. And that happens because of lack of understanding, lack of knowledge, lack of empathy. I know when I first joined the temple, my former wife and my son, they came with me in 1973, and my son was 2 years old. Now he'll be 50 next year. That's kind of interesting. He was 2 years old when we came. But my son was very naughty. He was so naughty that I remember one morning for Mangal Artik, when they opened the curtains, my son ran off the altar. He was hiding behind the deity. And I asked him about that later. He said, well, they were so beautiful, I wanted to be close to them. I said, okay, fine. But he used to always cry. And for women, when the child cries, it's a signal to take care of the child, to hold them close, to give them milk, whatever they want, stay with them as long as they need. But for men, especially, I remember for me, when that sound agitated my brain, the child crying, it was just too much to handle. So he used to cry a lot. And then one day, the brahmacharis, now to make note of this, don't take advice on how to raise your children from brahmacharis, because they have no idea about that. So the brahmacharis, they instructed me, Bhakta Dan, you take him, stick him in the closet and shut the door, and don't let him out till he stops crying. And me being gullible and depending on the devotees and their good advice, and they're all senior to me, I stuck my son in the closet. And he cried and he cried and he cried, and finally he stopped crying and I let him out. And later on, I thought about that. That was a big mistake. I practically traumatized my son. And we talk about that sometimes. He remembers. He remembers me doing that. It was not such a good thing. So the example is being shown by Mother Yashoda. She's staying with Krishna as long as he needs her, until he's so sleepy, he falls asleep. Now we know the other pastime when Mother Yashoda neglected Krishna to go and check the milk that was boiling over on the stove. And Krishna became so angry. Mother, you cannot leave like that, because there's a natural relationship between the child and the mother. Actually, Srila Prabhupada said, and I wish I could find you the quote, but the closest thing that resembles love of God is the love between the mother and the child. And it makes sense when you think about it. From a social or psychological platform, you can think about that. Because the mother is always sacrificing for the child. Whereas the men, like I said in my personal example, we're trying to get out of it. It's kind of a joke, they say, when the child is born, and then the man has to sometimes get up in the middle of the night and take care of the child. It's just like completely a headache for the men. But for the ladies, they do it with love and affection. So Mother Yashoda is showing us that, how to be a mother, how to take care of your child. And I tried my best to find this quote that I know I read in one of Prabhupada's letters. Maybe Vishnu Gadada might remember it, but there was a Mataji who was concerned that prior to having a child, she was able to do a lot of service in the temple. After having the child, she could not do as much service in the temple. And to my memory from that letter, Prabhupada told her, let your baby be your Gopal. Take care of your child as if it's Krishna. This is your duty. In fact, we should not bring children into this world unless we are able to liberate them, as explained by Lord Rishabhdev in the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Don't become a father, don't become a teacher, don't become a king, don't become any platform where someone like that is depending upon you unless you can liberate them. So bringing a child into the world is a big responsibility. And we have to do it nicely. So Mother Yashoda is showing us that wonderful example, how to love our children, how to take care of our children. And as I said, it's not just the duty of the mother or the father or that one single family. It's the duty of the whole community. In my growing up in the 50s, especially in the 50s and early 60s, in my neighborhood, because that concept of a village was manifested very, you could see it very clearly in my community. It was a very small community. And we have a running joke with the people that grew up at the same time, that if I did something wrong, because I lived in the government projects, so at the top of the projects, there was an old man there. And in the middle, there's another old man, and then another old man. And if you did something wrong at the top of the projects, that man would spank you. You come down to the middle, that guy would spank you. And by the time you got home, you got spanked 3 or 4 times because they felt responsible for the kids growing up in that community. And my father allowed them to do that because it was helping build character in us, how to respect seniors especially. It was a very interesting dynamic that the seniors in my community were respected like anything. You would not disrespect a senior. If he told you to stop something, you would stop. If he asked you to do something, you would try your best. It was a beautiful relationship, which I think we should always try to keep that concept in our movement, respecting the senior devotees. Of course, senior devotees don't really ask for or require that, but it's a certain mentality about taking care of the elders. As mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna was concerned when he was discussing with Krishna, if we engage in this battle, the seniors will be destroyed. Because Bhishma was there, and Dronacharya, I mean, many older personalities. And Arjuna was thinking, I can't fight like this because it will disturb the social balance. You know, if the elders are taken out, they're so important to the culture. So the same thing within our movement. And I'm reflecting on Bhakti Churmaraj. Why are devotees all over the world so focused on him? Even when he was in the hospital, everyone's praying for him. 24-hour kirtans all over the world. Why? Because he was such a wonderful senior devotee. And I looked at his biography the other day, and somehow I felt that he was younger than me. But he was born in 1945. But his spirit was so energetic and so blissful and so happy. So devotees loved to be around him, even though he was senior. Just like with Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada was senior to all the devotees, but everyone loved to be around him. And they had so much respect for Srila Prabhupada. So he gave us that system. So we talked a little bit about Mother Yashoda, but the other part of this verse I found very interesting. One word I told you from the beginning. Let me extract it right here. It says, Mother Yashoda received the Brahmanas by worshiping them. Worshiping or worship. And I find that that's challenging if you think about it. These are Brahmanas. She's receiving them. Even though Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead, is there, she's receiving the Brahmanas, worshiping them with proper respect and giving them ample food grains and other eatables, clothing, desirable cows and garlands. Now, you may think I'm setting up a thing where I'm saying, hey, when you see me next time, I want proper respect, I want ample food, I want clothing, I want desirable cows. I know the temple just started sponsoring some cows. It's very wonderful that you guys are doing that. So I want cows and I want nice garlands because I'm a Brahmana and I'm a older Prabhupada disciple. So I want all those things. No, that's not what I'm doing. I'm not trying to make that arrangement by emphasizing this point. But let me give you a little historical perspective. And I'm sure Vishnu Kodak Prabhu can share his perspective from the New York days. But when I joined in 1973, this concept of respecting the Brahmanas was so prominent in our temple in Atlanta. We had a senior Brahmana, his name was Radha Mohan. He was a brahmachari, and he trained all the devotees. It was amazing. He actually instituted proper deity worship in the southeast zone. He was so expert in Brahminical activities. So we had a system every morning during prasadam. All the Brahmins in the temple would line up, sit down nicely, and we would serve them prasadam, and all the mahaprasadam, all the sweets, we would bring and give to the Brahmanas. Now, most of the Brahmanas would give it back. They would give it back, and we had a chance to enjoy it. But Radha Mohan, he wouldn't give it back because he loved sweets, and we loved to give him sweets. He would take those sweets. He had a certain motion. He would take it and go like that, and we would just be so happy to see Radha Mohan happy because we loved him. He gave us so much in terms of training. But my point there is that we were trained to worship, at least in action, the Brahmanas. Of course, there was another system about senior devotees. This may be sliding a little bit into Vaishnava etiquette, but the system I was trained in, if someone came one day before me, and I have several godbrothers, including Ramanotsuka. Some of you might know Ramanotsuka. We came about the same time. But he came 1 or 2 days before me. And then another devotee, and someone came just after me. I still respect Ramanotsuka Prabhu as my senior godbrother, 2 or 3 days before me. So it was just such a wonderful mood. And it kept the temple very vibrant and happy because everyone was showing respect to each other. It's difficult now because we don't live together as we did in the older days. We all kind of lived together, so it was easier to practice those kinds of things. So my contemplation is, and I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget. First thing is proper reception of Brahmanas. Second point is, should all Brahmanas be treated equally? Next point, what is the proper way to show respect to Brahmanas in ISKCON at the current time? And I just gave the example of Radha Mohan Prabhu. And that is really what I really want to focus on. How should we practice, as Mother Yashoda did, receiving properly, worshiping properly, showing respect properly to the Brahmanas? Or is it that we see distinctions between certain Brahmanas? As I gave the example of Bhakti Churu Maharaj. He's also a Brahmana. Of course, he's a sannyasi, but he's a Brahmana. He got second initiation from Prabhupada, first and second at the same time. So because of his nature and character and his work ethic in Krishna consciousness, absolutely he attracted a sense of worship or respect and appreciation. But do we sometimes hesitate to show respect to Brahmanas in our movement? And I want to see if we can open up for a little discussion. The question is, why are we not showing respect on the level that Yashoda Mata is showing us? Is there a reason? It's not that it's unreasonable, because sometimes devotees who are Brahmanas don't conduct themselves as Brahmanas. It's not enough just to receive second initiation. And it's so interesting. I listen to Srila Prabhupada's lectures every day, his audio lectures. And today's lecture was about Brahmanas. And he was saying it's not enough just to get second initiation. He used the phrase second initiation, which he doesn't use very much. Second initiation, and put on the thread, and then do all nonsense. Prabhupada had no patience with that. Taking second initiation and then not conducting oneself as a Brahmana. He pretty much classified it as the Dvija Bandhu. Dvija Bandhu really means someone who's born in the family of a Brahmana, but doesn't conduct themselves like a Brahmana. He was giving all this in reference to Kali and Parikshit Maharaj, chastising Kali, because he was dressed he appeared in the dress of a king, but you could tell by his activities he was not a king. He was lower than Sudra. So it's not enough that we have received second initiation in ISKCON and not conduct ourselves in the proper way as Brahmanas. So then we have to think, okay, what does a Brahmana do? And we know that famous quote or statement, the profession of a qualified Brahmana are patana, yajana, yajana, dana, and pratigraha. The words yajana and yajana mean that a Brahmana becomes the priest of the populace for the sake of their elevation. That's very nice. Becomes a priest for the sake of the elevation of the populace, for the general people. So we have to look and see, are we as Brahmanas conducting ourselves properly? Of course, also in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, text 42, Samo Dhammastapa Saucham Shantir Arjavam Evacha Jnanam Vijnanam Astikyam Brahma Karma Sabhavajam. Peacefulness, self-control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, knowledge, wisdom, and religiousness. These are the natural qualities by which the Brahmanas work. So it's not simply by taking second initiation that now our work is done. It's actually based on our qualities and the work. I'm looking at the verse 413. Chaturvarnyam maya shristam guna karma. Guna karma. Quality, karma, and work. So that's how we're distinguished as Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra. So Parikshit Maharaj could see that this Kali was not a king. He was not properly acting as a king because he was trying to kill the cow. So within our movement, many of the devotees, including myself, we've received second initiation. Are we doing what's described in Shastra as the work of the Brahmana to warrant the type of respect that Yashoda Mai was showing the Brahmanas? That's really my question. Because we can see in the life of Bhakti Maharaj and many other devotees on that stature, of that platform, they attract devotees to want to serve and worship them. I remember Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, because he was living in Atlanta at one point as a brahmachari, Brahmana, and how we were so attracted to him. And he was surrounded always with devotees asking questions and trying to do some service to get some information or knowledge from him. It was amazing because he conducted himself so nicely as a Brahmana. And I gave the example of my wonderful senior godbrother, Radha Mohan, always properly dressed, always proper etiquette, everything. So we were attracted to serve him, worship him, receive his blessings. So I'm just wondering, maybe I'm missing something. Are we practicing that level of appreciation for Brahmanas in our ISKCON movement at the present time? Because we have so many Brahmanas, including the ladies, second initiated devotees. So how should we respect them? It's interesting that Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, when we were asking him about humility, how to become humble, he was well known for being humble. So we asked him, Ganesham Prabhu, how can we become more humble? And he immediately said, you offer obeisances 100 times every day to the devotees. And it was like mind-blowing. It was like a revelation. And as I mentioned several times, we started doing that. We started going to devotees, each devotee offering obeisances. And sometimes in the temple now, I don't see devotees offering obeisances, at least that much. It's like, what to speak of the older devotees? I don't see them offering obeisances, really offering obeisances, hardly to anyone. Now, in the temple room, the proper etiquette and before the deities, you don't offer obeisances to devotees in front of the deities when the curtains are open. But in the hallways and here and there, there's got to be something in our heart that says, I should be showing respect to my godbrothers or godsisters, senior devotees, like that, because that helps us to make advancement in Krishna consciousness. So I want to open it up a little bit because I know we don't have a lot of times to see if anyone has any thoughts. I know I rambled a little bit because it's just something that I'm thinking, I'm trying to understand it because I'm seeing it, I've been observing it for years. Another point I remember asking Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, this is another point. I said, Maharaj, it seems like everybody in ISKCON is seen as a Brahmana or expected to be a Brahmana, when in reality, some of us are not. That's not the work we do. You know, some of us have Sudra tendencies because of Chaturvarnyama. That applies to us as well. This is the Varnashram system. Prabhupada wanted to properly introduce Varnashram. So within Varnashram, you have Shudras. So someone who has second initiation may be doing the work of a Shudra. Does that make them any less of a devotee? Answer is no. But in our society, it's almost like we look at everyone through the prism of everybody is like a brahmana, and we don't see devotees in other positions that this may be their natural position by their guna and karma. And they're also part of the Vaishnava culture or system. It's like Lord Chaitanya and what is his name? Kolovich or Sridhar. Kolovich or Sridhar selling banana leaves plates, little simple service he was doing. He was not a big brahmana, very simple devotee. So I just want to see if there's any thoughts in this regard. Maybe I'm not exactly on point, but if anyone has any thoughts they'd like to share to help expand this conversation a little bit. Haryasha, I see you're there. Are you speaking? Because we can't hear you. Haryasha, there you go.
He's probably muted.
Are you still muted?
He's still muted.
We see your beautiful smile, but we can't hear your voice.
Oh, he's not muted anymore. Just can't hear.
I think his camera just froze up too. Vishnu Gada Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Balabhadra Prabhu.
Hi Prabhu.
Vishnu Vancha Kalpatarubhascha. You had mentioned whether there was, you had questioned whether there was anything similar to the devotees, Brahmin devotees in Atlanta getting offered the Mahaprashadam first. In New York, it wasn't as, I'd say, regimented as that. There were a few devotees, especially the devotees who gave class, like Jayadvaita, Jadharani, Mother Jadharani, etc. And they were given Mahaprashadam first. Yeah, but it wasn't as regimented as it was in Atlanta. But they were the older devotees were very much recognized and offer. And if they asked you to do something, you definitely do it, even if they didn't have a managerial position.
Right.
You know, there was a temple commander or a temple president or vice president. Even if there was an older devotee, then you'd certainly consider it very, very seriously. I was reading in the Prabhupada memory book, Pradyumna, who was Prabhupada's Sanskrit editor, and Prabhupada called him Pandit Ji. In 1968, he visited Srila Prabhupada in Montreal, and the Montreal temple president at that time was named Janardhan. And Janardhan had joined just a few months before Pradyumna, but when Prabhupada was speaking with some dignitaries there, Pradyumna came in and sat a little bit in front of Janardhan, and Srila Prabhupada said, "No, this is not correct. He is senior. You should sit behind."
Wow.
I mean that's kind of shocking that Prabhupada was making that distinction there. So that's very interesting. I have another question, but not on this point. It's a very good point.
Go ahead. Go ahead with your question.
It's on the first point that you made about the discipline and stuff like that.
No, it's okay. Please go ahead.
Well, you were talking about your being a village and being disciplined by the seniors in your place of where you're growing up.
Yeah.
So would you recommend instituting spanking seva in the temple?
At least mentally spank them. I don't know about physically. Now, if you spank the child may sue you, take you to court. So be careful. But at least mentally, we should be, like with the little children. I just posted a picture on my Facebook page, or it was actually put there. And it was me with these three little girls in Atlanta. And they're all over me. It's just like, and I'm just like completely having so much love and fun with them. But I used to also correct them for their own benefit, not spanking them, not touching them. But I would say, "Oh, Madhavi, be careful." I see Sukadapa was there. Maybe he might remember Madhavi. That's Muckintor's daughter. So I said, no, Madhavi, like this to protect them. So that spanking that we got in the neighborhood was to protect us. And I know, Vishnu, you remember this little story that Prabhupada told about this Mataji and her nephew. I believe it was her nephew. And he became like a thief and all these things. He was stealing so much good stuff. And she started enjoying all the good stuff that he was stealing. And then he finally got caught, put in the jail. Forget what he did to do that, but he was going to be executed. So they gave him one last thing. You want one thing? What's your last wish? I want to speak something to my auntie in her ear. No problem. So they bring the auntie to him. She bends over, come over. She bends over. He bites her ear. I believe he bit it off, or at least he bit it. And so, what are you doing? He said, had you chastised me when I was a child, I would not be in this position. Spare the rod, spoil the child. So that mentality should be there, but not physically. We should not physically. Like I told you, the brahmacharis instructed me to put my son in the closet and shut the door. That was wrong. That was not the right, because they're brahmacharis. What do they know? It's interesting. Jabba Maharaj, all the Grihastha devotees were coming to him, asking all these questions in Atlanta. He said, I'm not a Grihastha. Don't come to me. Go to Balabhadra. He's a Grihastha. Don't ask me all these things. Go to him, you know. So in that concept of a village or a community, we should extend the love. Now, one thing about that, when we're trying to correct people or chastise people, we need to have our, relationship with those persons. As I mentioned, those kids in Atlanta, I had a really nice relationship with them. So when I tried to correct them, they would listen. It was not a big deal. But if I had no relationship, and all of a sudden I come and I start chastising the child, that's not good. And I've seen that happen several times. And in fact, within the last year, I've seen it happen to the extent where the parents were just really upset with this particular devotee who always chastised their child. Chastised them for things like doing kirtan. It was amazing. And the parents were hurt deeply, but the person couldn't see it, that she had no relationship with these devotees to do that. So my example of my hometown is that we had an ongoing relationship with all those seniors. We knew who they were. They knew us. It was amazing. I'll give you one quick last example. My son, when he was in high school, sometimes in high schools they have fights and all that. And this is when my current wife, Gandhari, we've been married for 37 years plus. But anyway, my ex-wife, my son was picked up, taken to the jail in my hometown. Taken to the jail. All the kids who were fighting were taken to the jail. So I got a phone call. I'm at the temple in the ashram. And my ex-wife says, you better come and check on your son. He's in jail. This is like 12 o'clock at night. So I had to get in the car, drive to my hometown, only about half an hour away. And I went to the jailhouse. And the person, the chief of police at that time was a high school friend of my brother's. So when I went there to get my son out of jail, he told my son, he said, you are in the Tillman family. You better never come back to this jail. You better respect your family. Don't ever do this again. I was like, wow. So that respect was systematic. It was system-wide. So we didn't have to hit anyone or spank anyone. I'm saying now, but we have to have these relationships whereby we can help guide our young children, our younger devotees, like that.
Thank you. A further question on that. It says, Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport that the duty of the mother is to make sure that the child is not disturbed even for a moment. But then, of course, shortly after this, we're going to see that there's the pastime of Damodar, where Mother Yashoda runs after Lord Krishna because he took some with a stick, and then binds him up, and he was looking very disturbed. So what about that?
I'll leave that one with you. That's above my pay grade. I mean, that's part of the loving extent, but she never hit him. She only showed the stick.
That's right. She only showed it. She never hit him.
Showed it, yeah. So sometimes it's enough, just like in my growing up, my great-grandmother, Miss Griffith, she had a game that we would play. She would take this thing called a switch. I don't know if in North if you call it the same thing. A switch.
Yes, we call it a switch.
A switch. So she lived in a shotgun house in the very old section of town. So the game was, we had to run through the room, and she would sit in her rocking chair, and she would try to hit us with the switch. And it was the greatest joy in the world to elude that switch. You know, he's like, if you can get around it or go under it or whatever. But I don't think, I never got hit by it, but it was just this fun, loving exchange. So Mother Yashoda, when she had that stick, and the interesting thing is, here's the Supreme Lord afraid of the stick of Mother Yashoda. That's mentioned in the prayers, right? He's afraid of that stick. All she had to do is show it. When that relationship is strong enough, you just have to show. You don't have to physically do anything. You just have to show or say, like you said, Vishnu, you know, if you just say it or encourage it, then the devotees will generally respect it.
When Mother Yashoda saw that Lord Krishna was getting too disturbed, that's when she put down the stick.
Yes, yes, that motherly affection. Haryasha, did you get your microphone working? Still, we can't hear you. Oh, I want to hear what you're saying.
Hare Krishna.
We have Mother Golokananda Priya.
Okay.
She had her hand raised, and then Krishna
Please.
Kirtan.
Oh, Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Please accept my obeisances.
Yeah, my business, Lord Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah, you gave a nice class about Vaishnava etiquette.
Thank you.
So I remember when I joined late 79, in the year 79, we have a lot of teaching about Vaishnava etiquette. But nowadays, the paradigm has changed. Most of the devotee who's getting initiated, the congregation devotee, they don't have the opportunity to learn about Vaishnava etiquette. So how can we implement it to the devotees?
No, fortunate for you and the devotees in that community, in our community, ISKCON Philadelphia, Dronacharya Prabhu and Vishnu Gadar Prabhu, several devotees are working on some training modules or a system of training in Vaishnava etiquette. It's coming very soon. I'll leave that to Drona to explain the details on it. But we've talked about that a lot, because in order for our temple community to grow, we need to have proper interactions amongst the devotees, as per Srila Prabhupada's third purpose of ISKCON, to bring the members of the society closer together. The problem is, if you bring us close together, we don't have etiquette, it'll be chaos. You know, we get closer together, we start criticizing each other more, finding faults with each other, because we don't have the Vaishnava etiquette training to understand how to deal with the different levels of devotees. So, as I said, it's coming very soon. And Droni, if you want to say something about that, how it's coming, the Vaishnava etiquette training.
Yeah, no, we're in the development stage of putting it together. There's several devotees that are involved, you know, in this effort. We're trying to, it's a 6-part course that'll talk about sadhana, temple room etiquette, how to deal with the different levels of devotees, those devotees that are senior to you, those devotees that are junior to you, those devotees that are, you know, in the relationship of friendship or peers with you. Kirtan etiquette, kitchen etiquette, class and speaking etiquette. So it takes a little bit of time to put together. There are some materials out there that help, but some of those materials we wanted to kind of refine a little bit. So Vishnu Gadar Prabhu is working with it, Mother Sudevi, Haryasha Prabhu, as well, and yourself, Balabhadra Prabhu. So it's coming hopefully in the next month or so. We'll be ready to put it out. The hope is that anybody who really wants to, you know, definitely for initiation or aspire for initiation, as well as anybody that really wants to engage in service at the temple in a regular way, would be you know, required to take this course. And it is, as you said, for the strengthening of the community.
Excellent. Thank you. Anyone else?
Krishna Kirtan, I know you had.
Yes. Hare Krishna.
Hare Bol Krishna Kirtan Prabhu.
Please accept my humble obeisances.
Prabhupada.
Thank you so much. Nice to hear you on this.
Nice to hear you, Prabhu. Very nice.
You know, when when you were mentioning, you brought several things, but primarily as we are discussing about the Vaishnava etiquette, I can see that, botheration and this is disturbing you and the senior devotees because, and it's bothering me as well. And not only bothering because people don't behave, but even I also wanted to really improve my etiquette in my programs. So the thing is, you all have seen, you senior devotees has seen something which is new generation devotees not seen. The senior devotees has lived the life which we have not lived. And when we talk about the new gen people are coming, they have not seen, neither they have seen nor they have lived. And the situation has changed. You all lived in together many times in the temple, and you had a different opportunity. For us, by the excuse of being a grahastha, the earning money and maintaining life, material life wonderfully, and try to maintain our spiritual life balance, that itself is considered very good. This most unfortunate thing is that because we don't have any training as program, we not lived, we have not provided a higher taste, higher experiences for the people, including me. What I am now is whatever bits and pieces I learned in association with Philadelphia Temple, and those tastes I have it somewhat, not much, but it's because a community like ours, that I feel that's our strength is. It's not that how much we know. It's at least just appreciating the Krishna consciousness in Vaishnavas. That's our strength, I believe. Then everybody grows according to their own scale. Now, the Dhanacharya Prabhu's, I learned that sometimes back the program is coming. It's good to hear this program, and we would like to apply it to our life also. But on the same time, I was thinking how effective, it'll be effective, but how effective it will be unless I apply, to my own life. Literally, I was meditating on how I should participate in a training program for myself. So my question is that, do you recognize the, experiences, lack of experiences which new people have, lack of opportunities? Because wherever 100 people behave the way they behave, that becomes the culture. And now there's compromise in the original Krishna conscious culture. I understand the way even the big meetings happens at the journal supervisor and all these meetings happens. We compromise in many of the etiquettes. But I really wanted to see at least some of the devotees who can set the standard and bring and cultivate those new people up to that standard. So it needs a unity and cooperation, collective effort by the senior Vaishnavas like all of you.
Excellent observation. Just very briefly to your point that yes, it is recognized that devotees are in a different set of circumstances compared to what we had, meaning pre-Srila Prabhupada's leaving during that time, the 70s, early 60s, or late 60s, 70s to Prabhupada's leaving. There was just this, it was just part of the culture. And as you pointed out, we all lived in the temple, so it was easy to institute the culture, protect the culture, develop it into a really wonderful system. And as devotees started moving out from the temple, it became more difficult because, the temple leadership doesn't have much influence on the lives of devotees who don't live in the temple, unless the devotees who don't live in the temple expose themselves to that type of guidance or training. So a part of the problem is sometimes devotees don't like to take too much advice once they're on their own and they're making their own money and they have their own things happening in life, especially when they start getting education and job qualifications and all that. The tendency is to listen less, okay? So as it says in devotional service, Shravana is the first thing. We have to start to listen more to each other. And to the senior Vaishnavas who are following properly. Now that means you have to know what is proper following in order to, you don't want to criticize devotees, but you have to be careful who you take input from, advice from, encouragement from. And you can only know that by yourself, as you said, Krishna Kirtan, by yourself following. Then you can appreciate who's actually following, and then you can listen even more intently with respect. So I would say that yes, you're absolutely correct. Devotees have a different set of circumstances. So our goal in ISKCON Philadelphia is to replicate that mood that we were fortunate to have. Even Haryasha, you know, he came, I think I met you in 1975 in Philadelphia when Prabhupada was there. So, I mean, he's an old OG, an old guy from ISKCON Philly, you know. So we know what that mood was like. So our goal, working with Dronacharya Prabhu, our vice president, is to replicate that mood in a training module or whatever, and then institute that within our community. Third purpose of ISKCON, so we can bring everyone closer together. But as I said, you bring everyone together without etiquette, it's going to be chaos. It will be just chaos. But if we take the time now, and so we're building our community in ISKCON Philly. Think about this. We are building an exemplary community. It's going to be hard, as Drona said, it's not going to be easy. But if that's our goal, as we learn from the secular world, we begin with the end in mind. What do we want at the end? How do we want ISKCON Philly to look 5 years from now? Don't worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow's not going to change that much. 5 years from now, because our children coming up need to go into that mood. How in the world are they going to, you know, function nicely if we don't do it ourselves? We owe it to our children, and we owe it to the general public. We definitely owe it to Srila Prabhupada to have an exemplary culture within our temple. So I think we're going to get there. Haryasha, did you get your mic working yet?
I'm not sure. Well, it's good that I was on my phone. It's good that I couldn't break in because we heard so much from Vishnu Gadadhar Prabhu, and I don't think that I ramble so much. We may have missed that. And he gave, you know, just a lot of gems. But to speak of the others, Krishna Kirtan and Drona. But the first, there's so many points that you raised, but going back to the Brahmins and the way they were treated and respected, it all comes from the etiquette is quite essential because with understanding the etiquette, which Drona and Vishnu Gadadhar Prabhu want to have reinstituted, then without an understanding, how can people behave properly? But to put that etiquette in motion, there has to be loving relationships. In other words, we were respectful to those senior brahmanas because they were very loving. Hey, stop that. If even stop that running. Stop that running. Come over here. You know, Dravida would catch us in the basement of ISKCON Philadelphia. And his point was, okay, you ready for a sloka? You know, can you handle it? This is a good one. So me and Krishna Kripa, you know, I guess that others, we'd always see Dravida and you had to learn a verse. You had to learn that verse right there. And then he's going to meet you other days and he's going to test you on that verse. So that is one aspect of the loving relationship. But the other is that, just as Bhakti Charu Swami was saying, that the seniors should be so affectionate. He said they should be affectionate and they give the instructions. He said, and the juniors naturally are so respectful. And this was implemented within the Black community in a different way, as you were saying, that in a block where you lived, if you misbehaved, you could be chastised. I was never hit by anybody, and you know, not even at home. But my mother could get me. But the point is that the threat of being, you know, taken care of, and it wasn't done. It was done out of affection.
Yes. Because
no one wanted to see you go bad. That's the whole point. So in our ISKCON community, Now, fast forward, another one of the things is that there's always time, place, and circumstance. In the times that we're living, we began to relax the Brahminical behavior. Everything was based around Shravanam, Kirtan, and Vishnu Smarana. And then we became real business people, you know? And here the disciples becoming businessmen. Now, maybe that's our conditioned nature for some of us. But when the whole temple is no longer doing book distribution and we're doing decals and paintings and a lot of the trickery which comes in, then it changes the consciousness can be, and things can be to deteriorate. The Brahman is actually meant to keep that standard there. And so yourself, there were so many things that were going on with you, your god brothers, and then there were just so many things happening that we say, okay, today our society has been a little broken. Just as Krishna told Arjuna, he instructed this science to the sun god, the restaurant, and in due course it was lost. The science as it appears to be lost. But Krishna reinstated it with Arjuna. So as you're speaking, this Brahminical, the treatment of the Brahmins, the way we receive them, and the interactions between the Brahmins and everyone else, or the senior man and the junior man, we have to take it upon ourselves to make sure that it's reinstituted. And in that way, the community becomes healthy again.
Yeah.
Because without it, you can see, even when there's understanding of some things, because of the breach of etiquette, if you don't respect those Brahmins, then everything's lost. So I think that. And Vishnu can also say what he thinks.
Wonderful. Thank you, Fu. Very nice.
We have Ram Kumar has a question, has his hand up.
Sure, please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, please accept
Hare
my
Krishna,
humble
Guru.
obeisances.
Prabhupada.
Yeah. So, Prabhuji, like in the Bhagavad Gita, as you already mentioned, like it is given I was just going through 1841, Brahmad Kshatriya Visam Sudranam Cha Parantapa Karmani Bhaktami Swabhavam Guna Prabhave Guna. So Bhagavad Gita said like Brahmana are according to the guna and karma. So the training of the Brahmanas should be so nice that the people will be forced to accept them as the Brahmana by the guna, quality, karma, and action. So this Prabhupada Maharaj said, I was just going through his lecture. So in that, and then as you mentioned, like the qualities of the Brahmana, yajan, patan, dan pratigrahan. So does it like yajan means that fire sacrifice, to do fire sacrifice and to make others to do fire sacrifice. So here, what we are doing Sankirtana, like the Kirtan, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said. So this like yajan to do Sankirtan and to go outside and do Harinam, and to make others to listen that and to do that. And patan what we are doing now. And dan pratigrahan Prabhuji is that dan what we are doing, that charity, that is fine. Pratigrahan, to accept the dan, to accept dan, that means is that to kind of what we can understand, to collect the fundraising, kind of go outside and distribute the book and collect the fundraising. Is that pratigrahan? I mean, to accept the money, to give the money for the temple and something like that. So just please clarify.
No, that's a very good point, because as it said, Mother Yashoda, she properly worshiped them, giving respect, food grains, other eatables, clothing, desirable cows, and garlands. And you know as well as I know, and most of us who go to home programs, the host, if they have culture, our Vaishnav culture, they give you some gift. If we go for a Shrat ceremony, a birth ceremony, anything in the home, they give us something, some fruit, sometimes they give some money, you know, the dakshina, they call it dakshina. Okay, they give some little dakshina. So when a host gives you $5, $10, $20, whatever it is, they're giving to you. Okay, you can decide what you want to do, because the brahmanas are like this, right? And I just heard Prabhupada describing this. The brahmins would go and the people would give them gold and clothing and the piles of stuff. But the brahmins thinking, I don't have, what am I going to do with all this stuff? And they give it back. They give it to the poor class or whatever. So done particular, they receive charity and they give it. Brahmana pretty much always stays poor. Generally, that's the general concept. He will always be basically poor, because whatever he gets, he takes what he needs and he'll give it back. So my point here is that if you go to someone's home and they give you a nice little dakshina, that's no problem. But if you start a business, a dakshina business, be careful that you start charging people, you know, outside the temple management. This is a problem within our movement sometimes. Devotees go outside the management and set up all these relationships. I won't say anybody's name, but I once had a devotee working under my administration in Atlanta, and he set up his own separate ISKCON bank account. And he was getting donations from everybody, putting money in that bank account. And I'm sitting in my office one day, and I get a phone call from the bank. And the bank, I didn't know he had the account. The bank called up and said, such and such, such and such, such and such. I went, really? We don't have such and such account. Then I found out who it was, and I spoke with the ISKCON Foundation that they were helping us during that time. And they said to that devotee, you're lucky Balabhadra didn't put you in jail. That's illegal. You can't do that. You're collecting money for this institution. So when we go on Sankirtan, that's Krishna's money. That's Prabhupada's money. Okay, whatever brahmachari or devotee collects goes to the guru. Okay, we don't claim it. That's why getting percentages from fundraising is not advisable. Not advisable even legally. It's not advisable. You get some maintenance, that's fine. So we should be very careful. We can't use the Brahminical culture to fill our pockets. We can't use Brahminical culture and the respect you get from it naturally, especially from the Indian community. They have culture. They know about Brahmanas. They will always give you something, okay? But we have to be careful not to use that as a means to get money from our congregation. That's not what's being described there. And thank you for pointing that out, because it's very important that we understand that. Okay? Thank you, Prabhu. Drona, how are we doing on time?
One thing I want to tell. The last class you said Narsinga prayer from Canto 5th, 18.8, 18th chapter, 8th verse. So now we are practicing daily. We are doing daily, as you said, at the Brahmachari time you were doing. So now at our house before Narsimha Arati, we are doing this Narsimha prayer. So I want to tell here, like, so we have all hearted our all family members. So it's like this, just I want to recite. Om Namo Bhagavate Narasimhaya Namaste Jase Abhibhav Brajanakha Rajadanstra Karmasayam Randya Tamo Grasa Om Swaha Abhayam Atmani Bhuishta Om Shom.
Hari Bol. That's so nice. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. Thank you. Please offer my respects to your family. So wonderful. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Balabhadra Prabhu.
Thank you, Dronacharya Prabhu.
Very, very sweet. And I think this was a very fitting tribute, very appropriate tribute to His Holiness Bhakti Shri Maharaj, this whole class, because one of the wonderful gifts that he gave to us was the emphasis on Vaishnava etiquette. He has a whole website dedicated to Vaishnava etiquette. At the GBC College, he offered a class in Vaishnava etiquette, and this is one of the things that he's well known for around the movement. So thank you for that very nice tribute to Maharaj.
Thank you.
One of the questions that you asked was about why are we reluctant to do to offer this respect to the Brahmanas. And we didn't get a lot of answers on that. Maybe devotees are pondering this. Maybe it may feel uncomfortable sharing that. I'm also thinking in front of the assembly of devotees, maybe some of the thoughts that devotees have. Is it okay if devotees want to talk to you about that?
Absolutely.
If they can call you up and discuss it?
24/7.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I think that is also a part of getting over. Maybe there's some reluctance, or maybe something that they've seen, or maybe there's some, whatever it may be. They may want to share that in confidence as opposed to in in a group.
Anytime.
Yeah. But we're extremely grateful that you share your time. Your leadership is very appreciative, especially in these classes, and giving us spiritual direction. So thank you.
Thank you.
A couple quick announcements of things that are happening over the next couple of days. As you mentioned, we've sponsored a few cows at Gita Nagari. Tonight at 5:30 p.m., it would be 5:30 p.m. to about 6:30. It's about an hour, 45 minutes. We'll be doing Go Puja.
Haribo.
And then tomorrow, the same time, on Friday. So the way that these cows were able to be sponsored or purchased from Gita Nagari, they were sponsored by devotees here in Philadelphia. So not this past Sunday, the Sunday before, there was one cow who was given the name Madhava Sevika by Kaivalya Prabhu and his family. They sponsored one of the cows. Tonight, we have a cow sponsored by Vijay Lakshmi and Suman, who are also on this call today. And then tomorrow, there's a cow that was sponsored by Dani Tarpata and Samadatri Mataji. Anyways, auspicious. We don't get this very often. These are cows that supply milk for our Radhashar Bihari, Jagannath, Baladev Subhadra, and Shishi Gornitai, and also the devotees of the community that choose to purchase cow-protected milk. So please tune in to watch this. It's on the same Zoom channel, same one that we log in for class. Also this evening at 6:45, we have the Brahma Samhita prayers that are chanted by Vishnu Prabhu is teaching us the Brahma Samhita prayers. So 6:45, and then followed by that, we do our Srila Prabhupada night, where we read about Srila Prabhupada's Leela. We're finishing up now the Great Transcendental Adventure by Kurma Prabhu about his Divine Grace's pastimes in Australia.
One thing.
And then, yes, Vishnu Prabhu.
So we have the next book. I have copies of the next book by Mother Vishaka. It's so we'll be studying that, and it'll start on, I think it's July 22nd, and Mother Vishaka has agreed to record a discussion or a welcome, an introduction to that book for our viewing on that night. That'll be in probably 2 weeks from today. So if you want to tune in for that, that'll be good.
Thank you. Thank you for arranging that with Mother Vishaka. Saturday morning, we've begun a study under the guidance of Haryashra Prabhu, of Japa Reform. So there's a book, Japa Reform Notebook, that we'll be going through and pulling out the points. If you're interested in getting a book, we have some at the temple. I think Mother Sita has them. And it's also available online. But please read along with us Saturday morning as we strengthen this most important practice of chanting the holy names. And then Sunday, we have, for our Sunday feast class, Amarendra Prabhu will be speaking to us. So that's all that I have. Again, we'd like to thank His Grace Balabhadra Prabhu for a wonderful class. And we can end by offering our respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, who are just like desire trees, who can fulfill the desires of everyone, who are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Anchakalpa Tarubhyascha, Sindhu
Patitanam Pavnebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.
Haribo.
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Have a good
Thank you,
day.
Prabhu. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Hare Krishna.
Haribo.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you.